Training for your next big race and not sure about your nutrition? Well, Precision Fuel and Hydration are sponsoring the show this month, and their free online planner has you covered. It calculates exactly how much carbs, sodium and fluid you need to smash your goals. Me and the team at Inside Running Podcast swear by the 90 gram resealable gel to have on our long runs. It's been a game changer for us. If you want to crush your race day strategy, hit the link in the show notes, try the planner and grab 15% off your first order with the code IR-SPRING2025. That's IR-SPRING2025. Hit the link, grab your discount and crush those goals. Now on to the episode. Welcome to episode number 404 of the Inside Running Podcast. A massive thank you for being with us for another week. Big agenda that Croaks put together today and probably yesterday, so thank you for that, Croaks. We got Albert Park 10K to talk about. We got Sydney Harbour 10K to talk about. We're going to do a shoe review, which will be interesting because our shoe dog Moose isn't here, but we'll be talking about the Asics Metaspeed Edge and the Asics Sky Tokyo. We've got a few whispers here, a few things to go on the loose about, and a great listener question. Welcome, my co-host is up in Canberra. Bradley Croker, how are you this week?
Good, thanks, Brady. We'll be fine with this shoe review, seeing as though we've got an Asics big dog joining us tonight.
We do. Bit of a coincidence there. We put that together and then it was like, oh, this could also work very, very well. Let me introduce him, Croaks. He is the Australian 10K road record holder when he ran 27:34. We're going to be talking about a lot of 10K times tonight, but just remember that. Put a bookmark on that one, 27:34. He ran that over in Tokyo back in May at the Asics event over there. He'll be making his marathon debut in a few weeks at the Sydney Marathon. And I'm going to say it, Croaks, one of the most exciting young road runners, up-and-comers we've got on the streets of Australia and the track at the moment. Welcome back to the Inside Running Podcast, Sam Clifford.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me back on. Looking forward to hearing about the shoes and what you guys think about it. Obviously, I'd been raced at Tokyo in the speed race, and I have my thoughts on the shoes that suit me, and can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts.
How long have you been in these ones for, Sam? Like, did you have prototypes of these as well? Or is it like Croaks and I were pretty lucky we got a pair just before Gold Coast, but how many months, weeks we talking that you've been in them for?
Yeah, so I probably got my first prototype pair probably 2 or 3 weeks out from the speed race. So probably mid-April, we'll say. And then, tried the shoe. I think only by the time I got the shoe and then had the speed race, I probably only had one wear in them. And I remember I'd ripped some 500 meter reps with James Hansen at Box Hill. And I remember just like, it was like a complete out of world experience when I've got to about 250 meters into the last rep, and I just felt like my body just, usually when you're running hard, you're tiring up, but the shoes, just an out of world experience. And I knew then, I was like, oh, this is great.
Right, that'll be good. This kind of intel is going to come in handy, Croaks, when we do get to that shoe review a bit later on. But Sam, how you been tracking? Like, we saw you at the live show up there in the Gold Coast. You must have been stoked with how you're going in that race, and Launceston, I guess. Like, you ran 61:49 for fifth, I think it was, at the Gold Coast, which was 12 seconds quicker than what you ran for Launceston. And I think Launceston was maybe your half marathon debut.
No, so my debut was actually when I ran with you, Brady, back in 2021.
No, we're not talking about debuts when you're back with hacks like me. Like, since you've been...
You ran 65. Wasn't that your PB then too, though.
It still is my PB, yeah.
21K Sunday long run doesn't count as your debut,
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, I'm talking about your debut as when you're a good runner.
That was generally my debut. No, like
that was. Did you beat me or did I beat you that day?
I think I might have had you that day. You had me at Lonnie 10, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay. This is making me feel good here, but still, it's like
Brady Scout. I think we'd have to check the World Athletics to the head-to-head on World Athletics to see. But,
So, Sam, with those half marathon results, like now that you are the Australian 10K road record holder, like you would obviously go into those half marathon races like wanting to win or certainly be very, very competitive. Like, were you happy with Launceston and Gold Coast, or were you a little bit disappointed that you weren't there right at the pointy end?
Definitely the last part, like, not being there right at the pointy end of the races. For both, but I was really hard on it with Lonnie. And I think looking back on it now, I just don't think I did enough specific training for the half in between the time I'd run speed race and then trying to run again in the US to try and get a good time under the belt. I don't think I really had any focus on the halves. They were more like, if I was, good enough and had the fitness, I'd be all right. I'd be competitive, but I wouldn't, I don't know how far I was going to go. And so, it clearly showed. I'd had obviously got the stitch twice and not ideal because I thought I was all over that stuff. And clearly that's not the case, but I think it's just more of a case of just conditioning the body. I think it was so used to running at like 240 mids to 240 high that, you try to stretch that out a little bit longer and it's just that touch slower. It's sort of like my body doesn't know. I don't know. It's a really strange thing. But then I'm doing all this marathon training now and I'm running 3 flat 305 and it feels like nothing. So I don't know. It's just, like I said, I don't think I'd had enough time on the pins at that intensity.
Does the stitch come on at the same time? Like it's not ruining your races, is it? Like, it might feel like, you're losing, 10 or 20 seconds and being away from the kind of win a bit, but it's not like it's a massive blow up and you're coming in 64 or 65 kind of minutes.
Yeah, which is good. But it's like, for me, like I've got to be competitive, right? And at the end of the day, like I'm like, based on my 10K time, like I'm expected to probably run a lot faster than what I got on paper at the moment. However, like I've said before, like I just haven't done the training for it, haven't had the conditioning to get to 15, 16K and, be ready to rock and roll with the top guys. But, that'll take time. I think it doesn't completely deteriorate my race entirely. Like I'm still able to run twice at 62 or below with the issue happening, but it's probably, like you said, worth 15, 20 seconds that I lose because of that, because you have to basically go, like for me, like I have to go to like almost like a waddle or like a jog for a good 100, 200 meters, maybe even more.
And we should state as well for the listeners, like you're 23 years old, like you're pretty, and I know you've been involved in the sport. You're still Australian record holder over 5K. I was there that day as well, Sam. You kicked away from me.
Under 20s.
Under 20 Box Hill, 2019.
Yeah.
November.
Under 18.
Under 18. Okay.
Yeah, because under 20 was Mazar Mahari's, I think, was 13:25, which is bonkers. But the 14:07, I think I'd run that day. I think I still got it. I thought I was going to lose it a couple of years ago to Jack Coomber, but I think he ran 14:12 or something at like Queensland Championships or something. They switched it that year to try and get the record, and it didn't quite happen for him that day. But I wouldn't be surprised if, and I'm not putting any pressure on him here, but I reckon Lucas Chiz will probably be pretty close. Like he run 14:09 or something at Lakeside 5. Was that right? Was there something close to that?
Yeah, you did in old spikes though, didn't you? Because you have super shoes on the track.
But so I'm kind of expecting it to go though. Like I'm surprised it's survived that long. Like it's sub 14 for an under 18 is like gonna be like a big milestone, and then it'll hopefully just you see a lot more guys probably run it, because it's been a lot more 1500, 800 for those junior kids coming through. So it'd be interesting to see. It just takes one performance and all of a sudden there's people like glued to a different event.
Sam, you mentioned you headed over to the US for that 10K track race about like a month after you ran 27:34 on the road. You ran 29:19. What happened there? Obviously, you wouldn't have been real stoked with that trip.
No, not at all. Like, I was pretty disappointed after the race, but there was a lot of things I probably, like, obviously hindsight's a weird thing that, the shoulda, coulda, woulda's, I think it's probably more the lack of experience of international travel for me. Like, it was one thing. I probably stayed 2 or 3 days too short, because by the time I got to the US, I arrived, the race was on a Saturday night, arrived Monday during the morning over there. It took me pretty much all that time to feel like okay, like to get over the jet lag, and then by the time I was at race day, I'm feeling fresh, but because my body was so used to just being like waking up really late and having big meals and stuff with the US, it's I reckon that's probably why. There's some other things too, like the organisers wouldn't get, so they got me the pacing lights, but they wouldn't give me pacemakers because apparently it was like out of their budget, and they'd already sorted paces out for a slower group, and it just felt like, I don't know, there was just a lot of things that I needed to have go right that weren't necessarily in control, that I wasn't in control of, and that's all right. I'm not worried about that. It's like, obviously but those little things add up though. It's like, it's not just one area. And then they've also started me on the back line. It wasn't like a stagger start like you usually have, like in like Zatopek, for instance. Like, if you put Zatopek and you put like your top seeds and like the back row, like behind, it's kind of like in the road race, so you've got it staggered. It was really strange. It was very Interclub-esque.
Yeah, because
even though there's dogs there.
The winning time was 28:19, which like you would have obviously been going over, like coming off 27:39 or whatever. Like, you're looking to run like low 27s.
Yeah.
So why'd you choose that event?
Because the reason why I chose it is because the sound running one that you guys talked about for a while, and I obviously listened to the show a bit, and you guys were sort of claiming that as my race. Well, that had been cancelled. So that event got cancelled, and Isaac Hayne was meant to run it. Ollie Chignall was meant to run it. And then what happened was they're like, they've called up. I've basically paid for everything. And then they go, oh, nah, race is cancelled because there's not enough entries or not enough interest in the race. And so I don't know if that was probably like sort of felt like my race was gone. And so I had to find a replacement, which ended up being Portland Track Fest, but and it was just so late to organise everything, and obviously for me, like, it's not the cheapest experience to go to the US, and so you sort of got to try and maneuver around, and especially with a flight agency as well, you kind of don't want to hold off on stuff, and it's very interesting. I think, like I said, I'll be better for the experience. But the actual race result, I thought I'd run okay up until 5K. We were still on 14 flat, and I felt fine. And I sort of wanted to go with the group. And then I was looking at my dad, because my dad and mum and dad also came over on a last minute thing too, to watch me run. And I'm just sort of going to my dad, I'm looking at him, and I'm like putting my hand out, sort of like, nah, this is not my day. And then I've wanted to drop out. I never felt so I've been really sad I've had a couple of experiences where I've been really disappointed in the middle of a race, and that was definitely one of them. Because the expectation for me was to run something faster. And it's just, when I don't know if it wasn't any pressure or anything, I just think there was it's just one of those things. I was probably just a little bit inexperienced in the international side of things, because I hadn't been out of Australia since, technically Tokyo, but before that I made World Cross in 2019. So been 6 years since I'd been away.
That trip to America as well cooks your body. Something about going west, east from Australia, like is so much harder than going west. I read up on it after. I had the same issue when I went to Chicago last year for the marathon. Just could not sleep properly, couldn't get on the time zone. Should have went 2 or 3 days extra because I was on the start line. I just felt like I wanted to go to sleep, which is the opposite to what you actually want to be feeling.
Yeah, and that's how I felt for the 5 days prior to the race until race day, and then I was fine. But by the time race day was over, the damage was already done, kind of thing. Like you're not going to get that back. So yeah, no, I've kind of it's now when you're talking about it too, Brady, like I'm grateful that you've gone through that experience too, in a way, because at least I know that's like it's not just me.
Yeah, well, I should have read up on it before I left, but like then it wasn't until afterwards I started reading like this. It's How We Sleep book. I can't remember who's the author of it, but like it's got all this like studies about how traveling that way is really hard, and you should get on your time zones with your meals and you know all these different things that we could have put in place that I just certainly didn't. So I feel your pain there. Hey, take us back to that Gold Coast weekend. So you run 61:49 on the Saturday. And then you pace Reese Edwards on the Sunday. How far did you go? Like this is, I was 5-6 minutes slower than you in the half marathon, and it took me a week to recover from it. Like how many Ks did you go on the Sunday with Reese?
So I went through to halfway. It was originally for Reese. So Reese was after 66 minutes, and I thought, oh, okay, that's not too bad. Like that's fine. But what had happened, I think he sort of roused up a few other guys. And he was like, they wanted to go through, try and run sub 210. And they're like, oh, if you get us through 65, there'll be a bit more of a pack. Reese was kind of getting me to probably go more like probably more at the 65-30 end, just so he had someone to some people to run with, or someone to obviously the back end of the marathon, if you run it alone, can be pretty hard sort of going. So the earlier you get into a pack, especially in that kind of race, I think the better. And so anyway, we set it all up and I felt all right. Like I was sort of talking to my partner. I'm like, oh, should I go and do this? And I was like, oh, it's only 66 and then 65, at the best case. And I'll just go to halfway and, that'll basically be my marathon specific training because I'll get the same effect. I'll be tired. I'll be sore. And that's probably how I'm going to feel at the back end of the marathon. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just jump in and see how it goes. And then I'm doing this pacing job, and I'm like, it's exactly how it felt, like effort-wise, which was good. So that was really good, like for me to understand that. Obviously, I'm going to have to try and do that within the same space of time, but for a first hit out, I suppose running 61 and then jumping back and running a 65. So I went through to 21K to answer your question.
That's a great weekend of training.
Could have gone further, really could have gone further. But I thought, it
was already pretty risky as it was, hey? Yeah,
like it was, I was happy to do halfway through. It was for, I literally was like, look, he's like, oh, we're trying to get you some money for it. And I'm like, no, like, mate, I don't care about it. Like, I just want to make sure you get through a marathon.
Brady wouldn't have done it for free,
with an opportunity to try for a fast time. Sorry, what was that one?
Brady wouldn't have done it for free, I tell you.
Minimum 4 figures, if you ask me. I reckon that's what Reese Edwards owes you.
Yeah, but Reese had been a good support for me with all the Tokyo speed race stuff. So he was obviously involved in that, and he was always like a pretty good cheerleader for me there. So I thought I'll try and help him out again.
Tell me he's got you like a slab of soft drink or a couple of food vouchers or something like posted to your house. He would have hooked you up with something, wouldn't he, Reese Edwards?
Not yet, but I think
it should be coming.
I think he's banking on the fact that Gold Coast pay me something, and I'm like, look, like I said, I love this sport. Like I'd do it, like I really would go broke and do it for nothing. Like,
good bloke.
Talk us through your decision to run Sydney Marathon, given you're only 23, you've run 27:30 on the roads for 10K, so obviously you've still got some potential at the shorter distances. Why stepping up?
I mean, just the fact that I feel like it's such a boom now with the marathon, and especially when it's of the younger age too. Like a lot of the time you see a lot of people that that are sort of almost at the back end of their career wanting to run, a fast marathon, and sometimes they don't quite hit it the same way as what they were 5 or 10 years earlier, when they could have, when they're in fresher legs. And so I'm happy to give it a try, and it's a new challenge. I think it's more so going to mentally unlock some things that I previously didn't, or I don't have right now. And I like to be tested in a way that, and the fact there's a few draw cards, obviously being a world major in Sydney, and I'm now residing in Sydney, it's obviously it's a very, very good reason to do it, and the occasion of it, and the way it's been built up, and the work behind the scenes to get it to that point. It's something I want to be a part of. And secondly, like, you got some of the most elite guys there, like obviously Eli Kipchoge is another big draw card in that, as well as the Australian cohort and the prize money that's been on offer. Like, it's crazy to think that we're getting to a point now where there's some decent money for, you're getting rewarded for your effort, and they're willing to, Sydney Marathon are willing to reciprocate that and understand that, that's what's going to bring the key players, to run, I suppose. And they've done a good job. I mean, they've got me, so
well 100%.
They've got a few others,
Like financially, like if you're good enough to potentially win the race, like what, $30,000, like that's a lot of money. And I tell you what, Brady, this man is going to be well and truly prepared for Sydney, though. Have you seen his Strava bars?
Yeah, we're going to get to his trainer week in a second, Croaks. But I also think the opportunity cost of not doing Sydney for someone like you, like you come out and you have I don't think you even need to have a blinder. I reckon you have a good one. It puts you in a position to win the thing. Like a 61-minute guy with strength, I think you can run 2.8, 2.9 and be the first Aussie across the line. You pick up that $30,000. I'm sure Asics are really stoked with that, and there's massive incentives to come with that. I think there's other brands who will start paying attention to what happens at Sydney Marathon and who the first Aussies are across the line. Like, I think I said on the show, I think it can be potentially $100,000 day for the first Aussie if they market themselves correctly after the event. So for you to sit there and go, oh, I'm a bit young, 23, maybe I'll wait a year, maybe I'll wait 2 years. I reckon, like, if you pull this off, it's literally life-changing.
100%. And look, I think I told myself, like, why not? Like, it might be the only marathon I do for a while. And I told people I'm not getting the bug, and I'm telling myself I'm not getting the bug after this, because it's a world major. It's it's the first one. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I run against the greatest, probably distance runner, like marathon runner of all time, on the same start line as some of the greatest runners here in Australia. It's, why not? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, like you said, I think the 208, 209 is probably realistic. And if it ends up somehow, if I end up running faster, like it's, that's cool. And, I think for me, it's more about, it's like I was saying before, it's just the mental side of it. I think it'd be a really good experience. Like, I don't expect, for me, I don't think there's a whole lot of expectation. It's more the fact that I just want to try something really difficult and say that was the hardest thing that I've ever done. I'm even going through this training now, which I'll get to in a minute, but that will prove that this marathon training is really hard, but it's also very pure in the sense that you've got to be very careful what you do. Every little decision you make compounds, and and it gets you in the best spot to run really fast, I suppose.
I agree that there's certainly not that much pressure on you, although you're an Aussie record holder in the 10K. Like, you look at somebody like Brett Robinson, like there's a lot more pressure on him in Sydney because he's expected to be right up there. Whereas for you, there's probably more pressure when you go and run these like 10K road races, because it's like, hey, I'm the national record holder. Whereas the marathon for you is an unknown. Like, based on your training, we're expecting you to go well, but there's other people at Sydney where there's more pressure on them than there is on you.
Yeah, exactly.
And Liam Adams, like these guys have gone to the Olympics in this event. Like they're They're the old dogs have been around for a while, and you're the young pup who's going to try to show them up. Sorry to interrupt the show. Sam Clifford's doing a great job of co-hosting here, but I do have to inform you that NordVPN has partnered with the Inside the Running podcast to offer you an amazing discount. Head over to nordvpn.com/inside running to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan. Plus, you get 4 additional months on top of that. Think of NordVPN as your personal bodyguard for your online activity. It encrypts your internet traffic, shielding your personal information from those prying eyes and online criminals with their state-of-the-art encryption. It can help you book flights and hotels for your next race, as well as when you're over there, you can connect to a NordVPN server in your home country and safely enjoy the content as if you never left. Wherever you travel, it's perfect if you want to follow local Aussie sport. With NordVPN, you can access all your streaming services from back home. Don't forget, there is literally no risk at all with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Give it a try, and if you like it, that's great. If you don't, they'll issue you a full refund, and you can pretend the entire situation never even happened. Check out our link, nordvpn.com/inside running, to get your subscription with a discount started today. And you can also find out more information in our episode description and the link in our bio. But before we hear you at Trainer Week, like who's helping you? Like you got a coach helping you out here? Like you're bouncing ideas off somebody, or is this totally independent, just by yourself?
So originally a lot of listeners, I think last time I was on here, I was with Gary Armstrong, who was my juniors coach. So I'm probably not really in contact much with Gaz, just because obviously being in a different state, like, life's happening. We just sort of go on with our lives. The other person I did talk to a little bit was Dan Breen, who's Josh Phillips' coach, but he pretty much said to me that, because I'm technically self-coach right now, that 99% of my program was pretty much fine. And there was like some little things he was like, oh yeah, you could add this, or, that sort of thing, but really nothing other than that. And I think Dan's now gone and doing some, what's it called, when they placement up in Burke of all places. So they've taken him out in the sticks. So I haven't really got much close contact with Dan or anything like that, other than that. So I mean, for me, like I said, I'm completely like, just. It's going to be like this small fish in a big pond kind of thing with the marathon, because I have no expectation, and I have no real expectation of how I'm going to go in training or how I'm going to feel. It's just more take it day by day, and let the mileage come with it.
Would you be tempted to like reach out to some of those more experienced guys and just be like, even if it's questions around fueling, or maybe not the ones that you're going to be on the start line with? I'm thinking about like, guys like Moose or Benny St. Lawrence or any of those kind of guys, to be like, hey, you guys have been there, you've done stuff in the sport, like you're very knowledgeable. Like, what do you think of my training, or how many carbs should I be doing an hour, or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. And I feel like this is also like, because of my lifestyle at the moment, I feel like no one's come to help me with this. And I like, that's sort of like, I know that's probably like such a hard mindset, but like, I feel like no one's come to help me with this. I need to work this out on my own, because obviously one thing will work for someone else and it might not work for me, or the other way around. And so I just need a bit of trial and error in this. If something works, I stick to it, right? And obviously, when I talk about having the stitch at the half marathon and stuff, like, it makes sense to talk about like what I'd be having during the marathon. And I'm pretty confident that my fueling strategy, and I'd put a bit of a plug here, but the Precision planner, the nutrition planner, is what I've used as well.
Good plug, good natural plug. We love that.
And it's a good, tool to make sure that, they give me, obviously it's a, fairly relative thing. It's obviously a little bit of ebb and flow on, but it's pretty spot on. So I've had a couple of goes at it. I had a couple of sessions where I've tried it to stick to that sort of plan. It's probably at the higher end of carb intake, but I think because I'm running as fast as I am, I'm going to have that amount of carb. And I'll also have probably a lot of carb during my normal eating, which I'll get to probably later, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I'm stoked you're paying attention to that stuff, because sometimes you see people come to the marathon and it's like, Oh yeah, I'm super fast. I don't have to worry about gels. I'll have 1 an hour. Like the times have definitely changed where people are more educated on that now. But take us
Yeah.
through this week, Sam. I think you come back from Tassie on the Monday.
Yeah. So I come back from Tassie on Monday. I'm just going to quickly grab up the Strava. So Monday, just very quickly scroll through. I'll try not to bore you too much. I'll go probably a couple, just sort of skim through here. But Monday was following, what would be the 21st?
Yep, correct.
21st. Okay, 21st. So basically come back from Lonnie that day, 30-minute real easy, 509s. And for a lot of these runs too, they're not like Croaks. They don't go flat chat in their easies.
Yeah.
I'm very much the real old school scuffer. That's what I'm calling it.
Scuffer. Explain the scuff for me.
The scuff is basically really slow running. You should be hearing your feet scuff on the ground. I should have really like old ladies walking faster than me just about, you know.
You don't get rolling your scuff. Like the first K scuff is the same as the last K scuff?
Pretty much, yeah. It's whatever the feeling is for the whole run. So, like, you know, just making sure that I'm properly recovered for the next session. Like, if
you're sponsored by a shoe company, scuffing all those shoes.
It's not a complete scuff 80. Where I'm like tripping over and falling ass over tit or anything, but it's definitely it's pretty slow. Like, people look at it and go, that's absolutely diabolical.
But based on our chat at the Gold Coast, you said that you used to run your easy runs fast, like used to do everything pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. But then I was also probably a little bit undertrained as well. So now it's like I'm doing more mileage, I'm running slower. Whereas when I was younger, I'd get away with running a bit quicker because I was running less mileage. Like, I was probably lucky to be hitting 60 to 80K a week at some stages, probably even less.
We're talking about 2 minutes a K here, just for the listeners out there, because I'm big on not so much scuffing, but just going easy on your easy days. But we're talking about potentially 2 minutes, probably more, per K slower than the pace you're going to run a marathon at. Do the maths on that, Croaks. What would you run a marathon at? 325s?
Yeah,
go out and run 530s.
530s.
Yeah. You couldn't do it. No way. Your heart rate must be so low, Sam. Do you wear a heart rate monitor?
I do have just a Garmin wristwatch, but usually my heart rate is probably doesn't get any higher than about 120s, like if it does. You know, and that would be just because if it goes to 120, it's probably because there's like a little bit of an incline or a little bit of a hill or just like misstep or something, like, you know. But I mean, I don't have a heart rate data. Like I said, just go by feel. Like, I'm real old school with that sort of stuff. So, and clearly feel old when I do all the scuffing.
Yeah. So you do a half an hour scuff at 1:30, and then you get out again at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Same day.
Yeah. Yeah, at 5 o'clock, same day. It's sort of so a lot of those easy days, if I've done the right thing and run slow enough, I can back up and go and do it again in 3 or 4 hours and just, you know, to try and get the double, obviously with a little bit of time in between. Like, I won't do it with like 30 minutes later. Like, there's no point. Like, I'm better off just doing the whole thing at once. But during the day, I like to have a little bit of a split, just so I feel like I've actually done the training that I need to, you know, relatively speaking. And so I don't feel as crap if it, you know, like, I'm not like, oh my God, I got to go and get a run done like super early. There's a lot of, you know, life happens, and I'm very like chill when it comes to getting the runs done. Like, if I have to get one run done at, you know, like I said, 1 o'clock on this occasion and get it done at 5, I get it done at 5. If I have to do it later, I have to do it later. Like, it's just, you know, going by feel on those days. So the second run, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, pretty much 4 hours after. Oh, probably less than that, 3.5. And ran into James Nippers on the bridge, on Harbour Bridge, which was interesting. So that was pretty cool. That's a highlight of my run there, and 15K for 505s. And then I've been doing a lot of the double sort of tempo days. So Tuesday was with Delta Running Project, which is my new pretty much track club I'm with now. I was originally with New State Athletics in Tasmania, but just signed up with Delta the other day, and looking forward to having that next 12 months with them. So the session there, originally I think it was 3K, 2K, and then 2x1K. I've just chucked on an extra 3K and a 2K, and the paces I think were around 320s. I just wanted sort of to get used to running just a little bit slower, and because we wake up so early for it too, it's very, very hard to get out the door that early and run hard. And I think it's good for me to be disciplined as well and just use that training session as more of a build up for the afternoon session, but also, to not overdo it, so that, because the marathon session is usually at the end of the week. So for me, sort of almost like a warm up session. And then in the afternoon, pretty much did 20 by 1 lap with 30 seconds recovery. I think they're all around 3-minute pace. So again, it's probably, closer to marathon pace for me, but, I'm thinking about my form and technique and, making sure everyone else is doing, running well. And, I'm not just thinking about myself. I'm telling the boys too, like, we don't need to run any harder just because it's getting closer to the end of the workout, or like running faster or whatever it is, which is, something, they took on board, and, and for myself too.
Just Sam, on the Delta group, do you have like a role there? Like, are you doing any coaching or whatever? Because like from my experience of Delta, like it's very much a recreational run group, so they must absolutely froth having somebody like you out there running with them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been grateful for the fact that they've been very supporting and like welcoming and open arms. Like it's been crazy to think that they've done been very welcoming to have me. That's, and for me, eventually when I got into the group as well, I did want to help out in such a way because they'd been so good to me as a club member, and I'd did a little bit of coaching for the kids and their sort of squad for a bit there, and obviously with my running and stuff now, I've sort of had to put that on hold. But what I will probably try to do over the next few months is look into trying to get some coaching accreditation so I can coach the kids properly, because at that point I probably wasn't doing it with like for legal reasons. Like I have me working with children card and stuff, but not an actual accreditation, which you get away with doing that so long until someone squawks. So but all within reason, obviously. I don't flog the kids or anything like that. I don't get them to go and do my sessions or anything like that. But
no,
just something
very lucky to have you.
Yeah, so I'm very lucky for them to welcome me as well. This has been good. So the next day, now I reckon you won't like this run. I don't reckon, Croaks. You just I don't know. There's something about it. I know you're used to the low fours, but this is. When I was talking about
the elevation's good here.
The elevation's good.
Meters in 19K.
The elevation's good, but the pace is very interesting. I was feeling very ordinary this day. Very ordinary. I was listening to you guys, luckily, so that was the mate. That's probably why
you're feeling ordinary.
That's what would have done it. Matthew Clowes, we'll blame him.
Yeah, I wonder what you're listening to when you ran a 727 kilometre. Well, that's what, mind you, it was 74 metres of elevation.
Yeah, that was a very technical spot in the trail. That's just like all stairs, and every step is like you basically like almost like hovering to find ground, and then when you get ground, you're like, oh, okay, this is and then you're basically walking for a K. But I'm obviously like trying to run it or like power hike or whatever it is, right? So yeah, 544s, just around Pennant Hills Trail, so at the back there of North Epping, that sort of area. And so that was Wednesday. Thursday, I did just a 30-minute easy, and then did a session on the Thursday night. Now, I kind of sandbagged this one as well. Same sort of thing. Like, I wasn't really sure. I was a bit tired, obviously, out of the race coming up in this particular week. So I thought I'll just do something a little bit easier and something manageable. And I thought I'll, as I've called it, ripping the Band-Aid off, and just did a 20-minute tempo. Sort of progressed it a little bit. I think I started more at like 3:10 sort of end, and ended up at somehow ended up running at 47 or something in there. Ended up to 246 pace. in the end. So that was all right. That was just something to tick the legs over. And then Friday, that's when I decided to do my long run. I was going to do it on the Saturday, but with the race on Sunday, I thought it was a bit too close. So I wanted to give myself enough time to recover. Probably a little bit closer to your pace, Croaks, 45K at 4:19s. So a little bit to normality there. So, but I tell you, I'd sort of wanted to get a little bit of a simulation for the course in Sydney and getting some elevations and little hills in spots where I got the feeling of how it's going to probably feel in the last 6 or 7K of the marathon. And, went through Miss Macquarie's Chair, went through Sydney Park for a bit. But started from Chatswood and basically ran down and then Sydney Park back through and then along Barangaroo for the last little bit and ran into Marty Cooper. So that was good for the last couple of Ks. So that got me up and about. So, it's good. It is probably a little bit on the higher end for, you probably see a lot more marathon runners doing about, 35, 40K for the long run. I find it if I run the long run a little bit slower, it's amazing how far you can actually run when you run a little bit easier.
So what's your mentality in terms of, you've got this race less than 48 hours later. Obviously, 45K in the legs 2 days before a 10K race isn't ideal. Do you have the mentality of, I don't really care about this 10K, or I'm that good that I'll win this 10K even with 45K in my legs?
Well, look, you don't know on the day. I was just, like I said, it was a new thing for me to be feeling tired and sore and what else. And I thought, it's not that I didn't care about the race. It was more like the expectation for me on that race. I know you mentioned before, because I'm a national record holder, the expectation is there to win the race because I'm the national record holder, right? But in the same sense, I'm in marathon training block. Like, things happen. Like, I don't want to feel like there's any pressure and like get upset because I'd run bad. Well, and then I'd be like, well, I've run 45K 36 hours ago. Like, what do I expect? Yeah. So that was my thinking going into it. But I talked to my partner about it a bit too, because she obviously runs as well, Alice. And so you got sort of two versions. Obviously, you got the side where I was like, I'm like conditioned to the fact that I might be, running a bit. I mightn't run as well because I've run the 45K and all this sort of stuff. And so I'll tell you about the other stuff in a minute, but when it actually came to race day. But then Saturday, the day before the race, just did a couple of easy jogs. One was at 5:56s, the other one at 6:06s. Ran with my partner Alice there for a little bit, kicking the footy around, trying to make it a bit more exciting than just a, normal scuff.
Hang on, so there's a footy and you're just like kicking it to her as you're going, or what? Explain this to me, because this is also not traditional.
Yeah, so just hand passing it around, throwing it around, kicking the footy a bit, sort of getting her to kick it out and trying to just keeping it real light and fun. I mean, I do it a lot at Gore Hill as well for a lot of my sessions. Like, I'm trying, like, they've got the footy goalposts up. I'm just trying to snag it from the boundary or like dribble it through. And
talking AFL footy here.
Yeah, talking AFL footy, like, and just going for it.
So you can tell the 23-year-old mentality, Croaks, because the kids pull out the footy when I'm on yard duty, and I'm just like, my hammy, my groin, my Achilles, my quad, and we're just talking like an Oz kick style footy. Like, are you like regulation size footy? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
So,
but I tell you what, when it gets waterlogged though, it feels like you're going to break your foot every time.
I want to check in when you're like 30s. I want to check in if you're still doing this.
Yeah. I reckon. Yeah, it'll be.
Oh yeah, there's a photo on this. Oh, Alice, is Alice your partner you're talking about?
Yeah.
She's got some photos and some videos up here
of
this. Oh yeah, the old Sharon match.
Yeah, Sharon. Yeah.
Who do you follow in the footy?
Hey,
who do you follow in the footy?
St Kilda. Wasn't that a bloody good game?
Mate, yesterday,
Naz,
unbelievable.
Give him all the money you want. Build the man a statue. I don't care what they do. Keep him.
No, I was watching the Raiders win.
Oh, mate, this guy kicked 2 goals in the last 10 seconds of the game.
Oh, how
They
good.
come from like 46 points down at 3/4 time. Biggest comeback in AFL history.
I actually missed the game though. I saw all the highlights of it, and I saw on set because I've got 7+. I'm going to have a look at it when I get a free moment of the last quarter and just soak it up because I'd obviously missed it. Because like usually when I see St Kilda just down by like 20 points, I'm like, well, they're gone. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And that was at halftime. So like for them to go from like 46 points down to get up, and I'm just like seeing this like while I'm out somewhere, and I'm just like lit up. I'm like, oh my god, no way! And like, yeah. So I mean, that's kept me happy for a bit.
Good footy chat. Tell us about this race though. The Real Insurance Harbour 10K.
Yeah.
With 45K in your legs. What's that? Yeah, about 30 hours earlier.
Yep. So started out. Once again, kind of scuffed the warm up and cool down. Ran with my partner and one of her friends as well, and we've took it real easy. I think it was 3.5k, and then the race itself, it was like happy to have got the win. The race was interesting. So I was prepared to have obviously Ed Goddard was in the race, and originally Tom DeCanto and Isaac Hayne were starters, but didn't see them anywhere on the start line, and I nearly didn't see Ed until he popped up a couple of minutes later. I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's no worries. So, and then anyway, so they obviously didn't rock up, and I understood with Tom because he had run Sutherland to Surf last week. Was he second or third last week? Second,
yeah.
Second.
Aiden.
Just on his Strava too, Tommy. He hasn't ran since the 25th of July. So he might have some sick. He gets sick a lot.
Yeah. But also I understood because he was raced last week. Probably got enough money from Sutherland to Surf. Probably looked after well down there. So it's probably his hometown race, really, isn't it?
It is.
Yep. Yep. So, so anyway, so it was just Ed and I in the end. And, we went out pretty hot pace. I think it was 2:45 or something. We went through the first K, which both Ed and I were puffing pretty hard. Like it was not, yeah. And there's also net downhill on that first K, so we'll take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, so 2:43, and then we sort of settled into a rhythm of mid 250s, and it was just Ed and I sort of like talking a bit. He's sort of pretty much doing like the guiding and making sure I was going which right side of the road and all that sort of stuff with me, and then got to 5K. I think we went through 14:35, which was okay, which was good for that sort of 5K split. I thought, I said this is probably as quick as Ed would want to go here, and anyway, and then I've waited, turn around at the I think it was about 5K, 6K sort of mark, and stiff headwind through Barangaroo, which I'm so like used to with running easy runs. It's shocking, let alone a race, and so just sat behind Ed again, and then he slowed it up, and I thought the closer it gets to the finish line here, the more it's playing into my hands, and got to out of Barangaroo and pretty much just hit the hammer, just went straight for it. I told myself before the race, and this was after I then was talking to Alice about how I was like conditioning myself to lose pretty much. Then I was like, so we're going to jump back. When I was with Alice, after I told her all that, went to the toilet, and then I told myself, that was such like I'm sort of like ridiculing myself. I'm kind of just like, I'm like, why the fuck did you say it like that? You got to come out of this toilet and you got to sound like a fucking winner. So I walk back out and I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to win the race. And then one of the spots obviously was for me was at Barangaroo, and I just went for it. And I said in my Strava, Vintage Cliffo's back. I didn't think I had that kick in me. I thought I'd like genuinely didn't have it. I thought I lost it in translation somewhere because I've been so used to running
the split.
What was that?
Have you seen the last K split?
No.
Have a guess. I've got it open.
Yeah, I'll let you have a guess.
Guess before I tell it to you.
Yeah. 2:35.
Yeah, 2:37.
Pretty bloody close. Yeah, it was good. But I look at the footage afterwards of me doing running through the last K, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, this does not look like a 2:37, and it's like me looking at my own running, it's scaring me. And at that point, but also it's because it was off a slower pace. It probably, but that's the thing. I'm trying to teach myself now to have that kick. Again, because that's probably what gets me undone in a lot of these championship races. I mean, probably for Zadapex and stuff like that in the past, where I probably just haven't, I've had the ability to run fast and to probably win it, but I just haven't had that extra gear that I even used to have it as a junior, and somewhere in between there I lost it because I think maybe confidence and all that other stuff. But now that I've said, right, I'm going to make a move regardless of what happens, and I'm going to go hard at every point. And I'm like, that's like a deal I made with myself, and I've gone and done it. So it's given me confidence to know that I can actually do it.
So good, so good. Yeah, especially with the full load of training in your legs.
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest positives.
Was 180 something K for the week?
Yeah, 30-minute treadmill that Arvo for 180K.
180, yeah.
Yeah. So that was just to get to a nice whole number. And I didn't want it to be a discrepancy from the mileage the week before, because the mileage the week before was actually a bit more interesting. It was about 212 with the marathon training. But this week, I'm not gonna say what my training week is next week, but just keep an eye out. It's going to be keep a watch on it. Keep a watch on it, as Brady would say.
Keep a watch. Yeah, got a couple of things later on to keep a watch on, but that's a tremendous training week, mate. So thank you for sharing it. And now Croaks has got to try follow that. So good luck, Croaks.
Love having you on, Sam, but the downside is normally I would be coming after Moose, and I had my biggest week of the year, which would look pretty good compared to Moose.
28K, Croaks.
Yeah, pretty much equal biggest week for the year, but now it's going to seem pretty ordinary. So I'll kick it off with Monday. Did an hour out at Mulligans on the relatively flat loop. So 427s for 13.7K. Tuesday morning, decided to kick the week off with probably the easier session of the two. So I did 6 by 6 minutes, 1 minute rest, all at 17K an hour. So it's like 330s. Heart rate here maxed out at pretty much 160, maybe got to 161. So that was a fairly comfortable session, but decent volume. So it's like just over 10Ks worth there. Then Wednesday got out sort of late morning, and was listening to the road to Sydney, and I basically did 2 laps of Mulligans, and I was starting my second lap, and I was listening to Leanne talking about running in Mulligans, and she sort of stuck up for me in terms of, it is quite easy to get rolling out there. And I'm heading up the hill and she's flying down the hill. And it's like, she had game face on, gave me like absolutely nothing. And then when I finished the run, I went and had a look, and she's averaged like 350s for 16K. And when she went past me down the hill, she was rolling like 330s on a Wednesday run. So it was, pretty impressive. So I titled that one, Road to Sydney with a flyby from the star of the show.
What about, I was listening to their weekly app, that's like this week's app, they recorded it last night, and her and Nick are saying, because her excuse was that she didn't know how fast she was going. So they only have current K pace on their watch. So whenever they look down, it's just what they're doing right then, right now. Moose was shocked as well. It's like, I don't know anyone that does that.
So it's almost like, for me, coaching 101 is like people when they're sort of not getting their pacing all right, like they're getting their pacing all mixed up. I'm like, hey, what's your setting on your watch? And they'll often say, oh, just like current pace. I'm like, that is just going to jump around so much. You want to have like lap pace, which will average it out for the whole lap, or average pace or whatever. But current pace is not going to give you too much.
Yeah, it's just the oscillation. It's just, it do your head in. Like you speed up and then slow down, and it's just, that just tires you out more than anything. Like, it's ridiculous. I get it. Like, if it's consistent, I get it. If it's consistent and it's like flat lines at a certain pace, that's all. That it's fine. But then when it says like you're going up a hill and it's like 330s, and then all of a sudden you're like sprinting back to try and make it up. It's like you go back to the second page on your watch, and it gives you the average. You know,
Yeah.
She's fit though, Leanne. Like to roll sort of 350s out there. Day after a session.
Yeah. Off a 200K week the week before.
Then Thursday, taught during the day. And then actually this is my first day back at work because Monday was a pupil free day. And being on my feet all day, like my heel, like that insertional Achilles stuff, it was a little bit niggly by the end of the day. So I wasn't sure how my run was going to go. But I decided to just go out to sort of Yerriby Pond, keep it nice and flat. And I really didn't expect to enjoy this run, but within 5 or 10 minutes, the heel, I couldn't feel it at all. And heart rate was like, those runs, Brady, when you sort of go from like you've been training for a few weeks, the fitness doesn't feel amazing. And then all of a sudden you have a run where you're rolling along at a decent pace and you look down at the heart rate and the heart rate's also quite low.
I was hoping to get there, Croaks, in the next couple of weeks. But I know the feeling you're talking about.
That was this run. So I did 10.2K, average 426s, and my heart rate average, I think, was like 131. And like there's a little bit of elevation in there. And that was in the Vomeros. And sort of I've been a bit up until this point, like a bit hit and miss with the Vomeros, but they're sort of growing on me after this run. That was encouraging. Then on Friday, I jumped back on the treadmill, did 9 by a K with 1 minute rest, and used the Metaspeed Edge Tokyo. So when I put both shoes on the previous week, I was deciding whether I was going to wear the Sky or the Edge for a tempo session, I felt like the Sky was just a little bit more shoe for like just longer controlled running, and I thought the Edge was a bit sort of poppier and better for quicker stuff. So I saved the Edge for this session. Did 1 rep at 326s, 3 reps at 320s, 5 reps at 315s. I think heart rate here maxed out at like 164, 165. So for me, like this was another like encouraging sort of session. So that was Friday. Did the gym on Friday afternoon. Also did gym Tuesday afternoon, which I didn't mention. Saturday morning, went out to Mulligans, pretty much the same loop that I did on the Monday, except it was terrible morning. It was just that sort of cold, windy, and a little bit wet. So 424s for an hour. I decided to actually go out that afternoon down to Yerriby Pond. Hadn't done a double for a while, and I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. So put the Neo Vistas on, did 7.5K at 425s, and then Aidan Velton messaged me on Saturday. He said, Aaron Parker and myself are running at Mulligans 9 o'clock if you're keen. I'm like, yeah, okay. I said, just guys want to come just meet at my place and we'll run from here. So Aaron and Aidan came over. Probably a little bit out of my league with these boys. So Aidan, I think he's undefeated this year on the road. So he won Sydney 10, finished second at Vic Cross, 1 Sutherland to surf, and 1 Mini Mossman, I think. So he's running quite well at the moment. I did 2 hours, 411s through Mulligans. It was pretty wet and boggy. Those guys did 24K. So I got through 28.7K, 411s. It was definitely for me, my last couple of long runs have been fairly comfortable, whereas this one was definitely at the higher end for me, especially when you're with people and if you're trying to talk as well. I reckon that does also elevate your heart rate.
Yeah.
Because the week before I averaged 417s and like heart rate was like significantly lower, whereas this one,
152 is getting a bit high.
It was high. Also the shoe choice. So the week before was the Neo Vistas. This one was the Vomeros. So 411s in the Vomeros on a wet track, working fairly hard. And so when I finished that run, I'm like, that's definitely too hard for me. Like I'd been pretty sensible up until this point. So I need to go back to the controlled long run. So week of 128K. So in a pretty good place. I think I'll pretty much just stabilize at that level for a while and do that for 4 to 6 weeks.
I think because your workouts were so controlled as well, you probably can get away with that. It's when you're smacking like 2 hard workouts and then that becomes the third workout.
Yeah. No, the workouts were definitely all week maxed out at 164, 165 in the sessions. Yeah.
Yeah, good. It's a nice little staircase there on your Strava. I'm going to whip through this week, boys. I had a race, so I'll get to the race pretty quick. But Monday, kicked things off with 70 minutes, 4:34 pace. Tuesday, I had 30 by 75 seconds on the program, and I was super excited when I saw this workout. Like, this is one of the main reasons I wanted to work with Dan Nash for workouts like this, Croaks. Shitload of like reps, 30 of them. I was teaching Tuesday though, so I had to do it on the treadmill because it's just way too dark here before, I kind of have to do this at 7 a.m. and there's just nowhere lit up to be able to do 75-second reps. So that presents a challenge in itself because I didn't want to go when you're doing 30 or something, I didn't want to go too hard and then get my heart rate up super high and then still have like 15 reps to go. So I did the first 10 reps at 19.5K on the treadmill, and then just keeping an eye on my heart rate, trying to keep it under, like I was under instructions to keep it under 170. So it definitely wasn't getting that high in those first 10. And then, well, that's meant to be like 304K pace. Now this treadmill is definitely got some mayonnaise on it. Like, it's definitely not 304K pace. Gives my confidence. So then I bump it up to 20K an hour for the next 10, which is 3-minute K pace. And then still the heart rate wasn't really getting much over like, probably like 160. And I'm only having 30 seconds rest, so not a lot of time to drop. So then I bumped it up to 20.5K for the last 10, which is meant to be 256 pace. And that probably felt more right. And I was done by the time 30 of them rolled around, but my heart rate was still not really getting anywhere near like 170 by the end of it. So I think in hindsight, if I could go back, I would have been like more aggressive in turning the pace on the treadmill up sooner. But in saying that, I wanted to, figure out how to do it properly, get the workout done. I'm much, I'm pleased that I was on the side of caution than cooking myself and being in a world of hurt with still 15 reps to go. Sweated so much in the gym. Like, it's just pretty much just like jumping off the treadmill, wiping down your face, and then like going again. Definitely different than what it's like training outside at the moment. Had like the little foot pod on as well, but can't make sense of that because I do like the treadmill's on exactly the same pace, and then some of the laps would say I'm running like 308, and then the other one be like 322. So it's like, I don't know if I'm changing my technique or what's happening, but I can't get accurate data anywhere. But just
It
looking at
doesn't, but I think if you're in future, I think if you're using the same treadmill, like you'll have a better idea now of where you should
yeah,
start it.
yeah, hold on, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 45 minutes in the afternoon, 4:45 pace, just scuffing along the streets of Moama, listening to the road to Sydney. That was good. Wednesday, 60 minutes, 4:37 pace in the morning, 40 minutes on the treadmill that afternoon. Finally got around to watching Seth O'Donnell's like YouTube stuff. Very raw, very good. I didn't know he swore that much, Crooks.
Yeah. As I said last week, it's like, dropped a few F bombs.
I like it. I really hope Nike don't like tap him on the shoulder and just try to muzzle him. I hope he just gets like free reign. Just do what you want. Have fun with it. We're backing you in. Because it is also your employer, isn't it? Like, I'm an employee of Echuca Primary School, which means I've got to act in certain ways in the public. And Sam, you're an ambassador for whatever a sponsored athlete for Asics. Like, you still got to. Not that I'm carrying on like he's just dropping heaps of explicit language, which he definitely isn't. But I'm like, I wonder how that relationship works, and if it does get to an area where big brands do want more control over their athletes, which I hope they don't. Let them be who they are.
I love that his videos are like so many professional athletes out there that have their own videos. It's almost like they just say, or they show what they've been doing. Whereas he does that, but he also tries to make it educational, which I think is really
and
good.
entertaining.
Yeah,
like, it's funny. That's good. So that was Wednesday. Thursday, 60 minutes, 4:39s before work. Friday, 45 minutes, 4:41s. Saturday did 30 minutes and 2 by 30-second strides. Felt good in the strides. Put the Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo on for this one. I was really like, two good options with the Edge and the Sky. Wasn't sure which one I was going to wear. Put the Sky on for the strides. That felt good. Then went to Bendigo, stayed at my parents' place because I had an 8:30 a.m. start for my race, which isn't good coming from regional Australia, boys. Had to get up at 5 in the car at 5:30. to get to Melbourne by about 7:30, so I could race. This is my first XCR race for the year, the Albert Park 10K. My goal was to break 30:45. When people asked me what I was going to run, I was like, that's my line, my over and under 30:45. That's what the I think the Tin Man calculator spat me out at 30:41. And then Dan was like, go between 303s and 306s. So I think he kind of had me somewhere between 30:30 and 31 flat. Crazy start. Like these races. You done any of these, Sam? The AV stuff?
Yeah, I have actually. Yep. I did one probably 3 or 4 years ago. I think I ended up running second in the under 20s that year. I can't remember I think it might have been Harry Norman that won it this particular year. When he was running really well then. So, but I have done it before. But yeah, like the start is pretty hectic. Like, it's like I remember. I was probably, I don't know what PB I had at that point, but I remember there was like 20 or 30 guys like in that front group.
Yeah, it's insane. And I used to know like every single person's name in the top 50. Whereas I've got a bit older. This is my first one for the year, and it's like round 7, I think it was. And I kind of snuck into maybe 4 deep on the start line. And it took us a couple of seconds to get across the timing mat. And it was just crazy. Bodies everywhere. The junior kids are in there as well. So the under 18 and the under 20 kids. And you're just getting sucked along in this like vortex, which is, I kind of totally expected it. I'm like, get out of trouble, get in your pack. And then you kind of go down and back and then down and back. Beautiful weather, by the way, Albert Park, no wind. And I kind of thought, get in a good pack. I was kind of like near Dion Finocchiario, Michael Marantelli. There were some faces I recognized, went through like the first K in like 3 minutes. And I'm like, that's too fast, but I'm in the right pack. And then we didn't really slow too much. We went through 5K in like 15:11. And I'm just like, yeah, shit, this ain't great. Like I was feeling at 5K how I should probably feel at 8K. I'm like, so I knew I was in a bit of trouble, got dropped a bit, got a couple of packs rolled through and kind of like caught me, and then I could sit in at that pace, which was okay. And then there's just like 40 plus men in front of me. I've got 18-year-old kids. No, I think 2 kids from the under 18s went past me late in the race. There's like, I'm trying to close in like, I think I was like, I need a 3:02 last K to break 30:45. And I'm looking around going, a 3:02K is getting me nowhere today. Like there's just, I'm coming like, I think someone yelled out like, you're coming 43rd or something around like the second last turn. And I'm like, I used to medal, not so much at the Albert Park. I've medaled at a couple of these like XCR races back in the day, but yeah, real hit to the ego. I did come in the track running 30. I was like 30:46, I think, when I crossed the line. But my net time had me at 30:41. So I'll take that. It definitely wasn't 5 seconds between the gun and me crossing the line, but the net time's been generous to me there, which I'll definitely take. So a good race, a reminder of how deep those events are. Really struggled from like 7 to 9K. Like I ran a 3:07 and a 3:09. Campbell Brooks was one of those juniors who went past me. He had a well executed race. So
how much do you reckon the quick first K cost you? Because I remember back in 2019 when we did it, Brady, like the first couple of K, like I remember, or even the first K, you look up and you're like, Jesus Christ, there's so many people in front of me.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, I don't think it was so much the first K that cost me. I think it's that then we kept the foot down for the next 3K. Like if then we'd settled to run 3:04 instead of a 3:01 and then another 3:01, I think I just burnt too many bickies. I think if I had my time again and was a bit more patient, I probably cost myself breaking 30:30. So yeah, I just felt like I had to survive a bit, like 7, 8, and 9 when I ran 3:08, 3:07, 3:09. If maybe I was feeling better, I could have kept those at 3:04s and had a crack at 30:30. So it's good to be back out there racing. I was 44th across the line, which wasn't great for the old ego. Week of 115K, probably exactly where I'm at, to be honest. Like, haven't done a lot of mileage yet. I'm kind of like cup half full. I'm like 30-40 off, not a lot of training. I'm kind of like happy with. So, I know there's so many like areas of my training that are still got to be turned up. So looking forward to turning those up and running a bit quicker once I start getting some consistency and some mileage. So that was good.
You don't Ballarat as well, or
I am, but I said to Dan, I'm like,
that's going to impact your training
yeah,
again.
and I'm stitching him up a bit as well because I'm like, he started taking over my coaching. I had a cooked groin that took me like 4 weeks to recover from. I went to Paris. I tapered for a half marathon. I recovered from a half marathon. I've tapered for a 10K. You're like, he's just like, we just need some consistency. So I'm like, keep me loaded. Like these races, like I can train through Ballarat 15K. Like I don't need a 30-minute the day before, 40-minute the day before that.
It's
like
just you miss another long run though.
Yeah, I know, but at least with a warm up and cool down, you're still going to get 25K that morning.
Yeah.
So, and then, I just want to, you know what I'm like, Croaks. I just love training. And when I see these weeks that are like 110K, 120K, I'm like, shit, this is the lowest 3-month block I've had probably for about 10 years.
Yeah, so. But how much though is it, like, because it's still not poor mileage. Like how much if it is in your head though?
No, I think, there's no doubt that mileage has a huge impact on how well you're running. But I think I'm doing enough to I've done enough training to sprinkle so I can still run 67 and 30, 40. Like, yeah, I just know and I'm excited about it. I'm like, wow, when we put this up to like, give me a month of 160K, which I know I can handle, no worries at all. I'm going to be, fit. If you're listening, the chances are you're gearing up for a race, but how dialed in is your race day nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration makes it simple with a free online planner to calculate your carb, sodium and fluid needs for peak performance. Their product, like the 90-gram resealable gel, helps you hit your numbers with ease. That's why legends like 4-time Olympian Lisa Waitman and ultra runner Hayden Hawkes trust them too. Head to the link in the show notes to create your personalized strategy and then use code IR-SPRING 2025 for 15% off your first order. Or if you're a Patreon supporter, grab your exclusive 20% off discount code from our member-only episodes. Time to level up your performance. Click the link now. Now back to the episode. So that's that. Let's say some Patreon supporters though, fellas. Who you got, Croaks?
I've got Zach Rosser. So I coach Zach. He's originally from Orange, but is living in Canberra now. Has PBs of 15:46 for 5K, 33:06 at last year's Sydney 10, 71:46 at last year's New South Wales Half Marathon Champs, and ran 2:29 at last year's Melbourne Marathon. He's a senior consultant at Approach Consulting. So thanks for your support, Zach. And he's got... Actually, he's going to do Sydney Marathon as a bit of a training run with his dad. Then I think he's doing Melbourne half, and then he's got an entry for Valencia as well.
Oh, he's a part of that Canberra crew coming over. Rob Wilson, you.
Yep. Yeah. And so he did Gold Coast. He ran like 2:31 at Gold Coast, so he's going to gear up for Valencia.
What's he going to run at Valencia? Put a time on it.
Hopefully a PB.
Slab on it, I reckon.
Slab over under.
I don't know, maybe like 227, hopefully.
Valencia's a special place, Croaks.
Well, yeah. Well,
you'll find out about it December. There's been calls to put you on the road to Valencia as well. You feel like you've just got one road too sorted, the road to Sydney, but you've always got to think ahead about what's going to be coming after that.
I feel like it is a long road to Valencia for me.
What about we should go Canberra only, road to Valencia? There's that many people.
A lot of the training would be very similar.
True.
Training weeks.
True, yeah. There's that many people that want to be on road to Valencia. I've got a list of about 15 people and haven't even put it out to the public yet. But anyway, patrons, keep an eye out for that soon. Who are you thanking for us tonight, Sam?
Yep, I'd like to thank Christian Gates from Brisbane. Strava's locked down, unfortunately, but managed to find these results. So he's run 19:27 at the Sandgate Park Run and 88 minutes at the 2023 Jetty to Jetty Half Marathon. He's potentially an industrial maintenance technician at Programmed, which is a facility services.
Yeah, we've got some good titles tonight, haven't we?
Yeah.
Industrial maintenance technician and a senior consultant. Thank you, Christian, for your support of the Inside Running podcast. I'm going to thank Aurelian Wunson from Barcelona in Spain, boys. He's ran 18:28 for 5K, 38.43 at the 2016 Cursa Sant Antoni 10K, 83.46 at the 2018 Virgin Oxford Half Marathon, and 2.56 at the 2018 Pisa Marathon. It looks like he's currently preparing for the Berlin Marathon, one of the greatest marathons in the world, that one. So hopefully the preparation is going good. Going to come around sooner rather than later as well, the old Berlin Marathon, mid-September.
Yeah, it's normally around the 20th.
Yeah,
around the 20th.
Be deep in training for that. Thank you to all our Patreon supporters who support the show. We only get up to episode like tonight 404 because of the support of our Patreon supporters, and we are loading up the bonus content at the moment. So Road to Sydney's obviously the highlight there. They did a first episode. They stuffed up the recording, Croaks, which took me about an hour and a half to fix the audio. I was teaching every day of the week last week too, so I was getting up at 4:30 a.m. to work on some audio.
It was very good though, Brady. They have done a very good job.
Solid opener. So the first episode went for an hour and 45 minutes. I'll flick you the MP3, Sam. You can have a listen to while you're scuffing around the streets of Sydney. Yep. Keep entertained. One of your teammates, Liam Pompiani's on that one, Nick Earl and Julian Spence. Yep. And then they did last night's episode. I think that was like 90 minutes as well. So you're getting good value for out of the Road to Sydney. It's just so special hearing, like, because I miss Moose. Like, it's good to have replacements like you, Sam, but I miss my boy Moose over at on that show. But it's just
the curse though, Brady. Sorry to interrupt. The curse got him week one.
What about Nick Earl just broke it? He woke up with a dislocated shoulder. The curse got him real good too.
Oh yeah, saw that too on the Strava. I'm like, how the bloody hell has he done that?
He just woke up and his shoulder was dislocated at 2 a.m. So hopefully Leanne doesn't get injured. But those two are struggling. But it's beautiful to hear them two getting along. Like, they're just matured in life. They're just agreeing on most things. It's a beautiful, like, wholesome listen. So if you're into that, Christian, Toby and I are going to hopefully do a monthly episode. I know the UK boys are getting teed up for an episode as well. A bit of banter because Clousey was on the show last weekend, Croaks, from the other two. So that's going to be fun when they hit record as well. So plenty of bonus content, patreon.com/Inside Running Podcast if you want to read more about that. Running news with thanks to Axel Coffee, our race results partner and our secret to starting every run on the right foot. Nothing beats a good coffee before hitting the pavement. Lakeside 10K, your boy Croaks got the win and the state title. Ed Marks, 28.55, beat Bendigo bat Matt Buckell in 29.11. Adrian Potter came over from South Australia, ran at 29.15. Haftu was actually the fifth Victorian fifth overall, but the third Victorian in our state titles in 29.19. So deep. 103 people, that's including a few of the juniors, broke 32 minutes. So much depth.
Anyone going to beat Ed at National Cross?
There's only one man in the country who can beat Ed at National Cross. You know who it is? Seth's not in the country. Seth's in Europe.
Andy
Buchanan. If Andy Buchanan decides to run National Cross, I'd be betting on Andy just because of the experience. But geez, it could be a good battle.
I don't know.
Ed's towered up Andy twice so far at XCR, but I think Andy a bit fitter now.
Is Andy's running National Cross, is he?
I'm not sure. When is National Cross?
August.
Yeah, not sure. Not sure what he's got planned in the lead up to World Champs in September.
I did notice he's running the Sunshine Coast half.
Yeah, he's doing Sunshine Coast. Hopefully he's going to be doing Ballarat 15K the week after that as well, because what do we got? The teams, Glenhuntly got the win, 190 points for their 6 runners across the line. Box Hill second, 219. Sandringham third, 224. Western A's dropped the last 2 races, but they're still 16 points clear on top of the ladder. Our boys, though, Geelong moves into the relegation zone, which is I don't know if people care about the premiership this year. I reckon a lot of people are caring about who's getting relegated because there's a tight battle going on down the bottom of the ladder to not get kicked out of Premier Division.
Maybe they're positioning themselves for a road back to Premier Division podcast next season.
Maybe that's it. Toby was getting messages the last couple of days saying, hey, pull your finger out. You need to start getting to some races. So they've done the call out for all some old runners to get back going again. Sarah Klein won the women's. So separate race this year, which I liked. I think this was a really, really good move to have the women separate for a couple of reasons. Like, the women often get lost in the men's race. So they come in with a massive pack of men. You can hardly see them. The commentator doesn't know what's happening. They don't get the limelight of coming into the stadium to actually win the race. And I also think it's important that people like practice tactics and stuff, not just jump in the pack of men and stick in that pack for as long as possible. So a bit of cat and mouse stuff I think is good, bit of pacing, bit of tactics.
Do you think it's also a sign of the times in terms of like the running boom, especially this particular race and the depth? It's almost from a safety point of view. Like there's just too many people to have the women in there as well.
Yeah, and they would often put the women at the start of the race, the start of the where the timing mat is, which is I get it because they're racing for top women kind of honours, but when you're running 33:45 to win and you've got, what did I just say, 100 people, 100 men breaking 32 minutes, it's quite dangerous to try and get past them in that first 100 metres. So I think this was a great move. Sarah Klein got the win, 33:45. Georgia Hansen getting back into things, Croaks. She was second. She went to World Cross in Bathurst, so that's a name. Well, Sarah Klein's gone to World Champs, about to go to World Champs again. So 2 Australian representatives there, 33:59. Charlotte Wilson was third, 34:08. Sandringham got the win, 68. No one's touching them at the top of the ladder. I think they've pretty much got it sewn up. Box Hill second, 171. Glenhuntly third, 221. Athletics Victoria doing massive things. Still massive discrepancy between the men's and women's field though. 637 men, 210 women. So triple. Not sure why that is. I've got a couple of people trying to solve that problem in the group chat last night, Croaks.
Don't know, Brady. Can't help you.
Can't solve that one. Right in there. I want to see. Patreon supporters especially, on the comments in the post, let us know what you think. What are you telling me about, Croaks?
Sydney Harbour 10K. So our man, Sam Clifford, finished Cliffo's back with a 2:37 last K to get the win, 29:33. Ed Goddard was second, 29:54. And then Joe Burgess, Sydney Uni man, was third in 31:12 in the women's. Leanne Pompiani got the win, 32:27. Caitlin Adams was second, 32:48. And Jenny Blundell was third in 34:02. And then track races, we're in that sort of lull period at the moment where Diamond Leagues take a break because a lot of countries have their trials for World Champs. So this coming weekend's the US trials and I believe the UK trials as well. But in Berlin last night, we had Adam Spencer run a 3:49.21 mile to finish fourth behind Nordas, who ran 3:47.68. Jude Thomas ran 3:50.2 to finish sixth. Now, Adam moves to fifth fastest Aussie of all time, and that 3:49 also is a world champs qualifying time. So it was 3:50 for the mile. So it's going to be interesting now because we've got Ollie Hoare, we've got Jude Thomas, and we've got Adam Spencer all qualified. They can only send 2 of those 3 because Cam's already on the team. Who would you pick, Sam, out of those 3?
Yeah, you'd have to look at the heads-to-heads, wouldn't you? Like, I think that's what it probably has to go down to now. I mean, they're all very capable of running the times, and obviously Adam got up over Jude, and then I think what was the result? So obviously I know with the London Diamond League the other day, that was probably a bit hard to tell with, especially like I know Cam's are obviously already automatic qualified, but it would have been nice to see them all run through the line like all unscathed and not impeded as such. But I think it was Ollie, Adam, or Ollie, Jude. Oh, what order was it in originally? Do you remember? Because that's how I'll sort of.
I think Adam ended up being reasonably high in the end, didn't he, Brady? He was like.
He didn't. He was actually dropped at like 200 meters to go. There's a photo of like the stack happening, and Adam's still like quite a way back. So he really benefited from the stack and actually went past Ollie and Jude.
Okay, so I'd pick Adam.
I don't know. I think they got to put a line through that race. Actually, I don't think it's fair to say he's won that head to head against those 2 because they got caught up.
I know in the past they've often used nationals as, like if you finish first or second at nationals and you have the time, it was often you get the tick, which Adam was second at nationals behind Cam.
Yep.
Beating obviously Ollie and Jude. And I think Adam's time for the mile is now quicker than what Ollie has run this season. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be one unlucky runner there.
Yeah.
Ollie said on his podcast he's got to go again, like one more race.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Like, because I feel like out of those three, like Ollie's probably the one that has like stagnated the most in terms of, like Ollie was like literally one of the top handful in the world. Whereas I feel like Jude and Adam still are on that sort of upward trajectory. Whereas I'm not so sure about Ollie.
Nah, Ollie, he said he reckons he's got a 3:29 in him.
Yeah.
So like he feels he's building, I get this sense, building into this season and he's about to launch, which is what you want, which is these other two are also running PB. So they're doing the same. But there's got to be some discretion there for Olympic finalist. I know it was back in 2021 and Commonwealth Games gold medalist. Like he knows how to perform at the big stage.
That'll be the thing I'd say is probably the experience. Comes down to the experience of them at a championship level. So I think Cam obviously being selected, that's easy job for that side of things. I reckon Adam will get through. That's clear. The other Ollie and Jude, I think they're going to have to hold that out really, really late in the selection piece because that'll be interesting to see. If Ollie ends up running as fast as he says he's going to run, might sway the selectors one way or the other.
Oh, I think if Ollie runs a sub 3:30, he'll get in for sure.
But what if Jude runs it in a similar event or the same?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like he could do it in it. The Princess promised.
This is where I would hate to be a selector.
Might promise you a 3:28. You don't know.
Yeah.
I would hate to be a selector in this.
Yeah,
instant.
Not a good job. Not a good job right now, especially if you've got that many guys that are so close and
there's no black and white, is there, at this stage? These results brought to you by Axel Coffee. Don't forget, Inside Running Podcast listeners get 20% off their first order online with IRP. This is the code, IRP20. Start your day right with Axel Coffee. Asics shoe review, boys. We've got the Metaspeed Edge and Sky Tokyo. So two different shoes. They look exactly the same. You two boys are just grabbing them from behind you or in front of you at the moment. Podcast listeners can't hear this, but I thought I might just kick things off with a few specs, Croaks. You happy with that?
Yeah, do it. Shoe dog.
I'll do this, the old shoe dog. I'll tell you a thing. So both of them have the stack height of 39.5 millimeters, which is good. So they've got to stay under 40. That's a rule. Is it 40? Yeah, I think it's 40.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's 40. So they're using as much space as they can there with a 39.5. The heel to toe drop is 5 millimeters. So that's another stat for you there. Also, the forefoot stack is 34.5 millimeters. So I think the easiest thing for the listeners, Croaks, out there is to describe what the difference in the shoe actually is. So the Edge and the Sky, two different names for starters. The Edge has the FF Leap foam up the top, and it's got the Turbo Plus foam at the bottom. And it's also known to have a bit of a firmer heel. So a bit of more of a stable ride for that mid to rear foot lander. The Sky has it the other way around. So the Turbo Plus foam is at the top and you got the FF Leap foam at the bottom. Both of them have a spoon-shaped plate and weight-wise, they both come in pretty light. So 170 grams for a US size 9 for the Edge and 166 grams for the Sky. To put that into comparison, I know you're wondering out there, how does it stack up compared to like an Alpha 5 come in at 200 grams? So we're talking about like 30, 34 grams lighter. Let me know if you want any other specs, Croaks, because I don't have any written down, but I can probably make some up off the top of my head. How'd I go there?
Really good, Brady. I want to know like what your preference has been, because I believe that you wore the Edge for Gold Coast. Then you did a session in the Sky after Gold Coast and you're like, oh, I think I picked the wrong shoe for Gold Coast. And then I'm assuming you wore the Sky for Albert Park?
Yes, correct. You've kind of summarised that well. So before this, I actually purchased a pair of the Edge to wear at Ballarat Marathon. So I was bought into this shoe, used my own money. Actually, I think I used a voucher after winning a race and a bit of my own money. But I believed all the hype after Andy Buchanan ran 206 in the Edge at Valencia last year. So it's interesting because I think the Edge has the marathon record for Australia. I went with the Edge because I was like, yeah, this is what I wore at Ballarat, and then I put on the Sky, and I'm like, oh wow, this is just as good, if not better. I felt it was a bit more like a bit softer, a bit more underfoot maybe, like just as aggressive, but a bit softer underfoot. So yeah, I could have, like, I don't think I made a mistake wearing the Edge at Gold Coast. I was just like, this is just another option. Like, I could have went to my shed Saturday night, closed my eyes, and said eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and it wouldn't have impacted my race at all on the Sunday morning. Which kind of, that was some of my feedback early days, that I'm like, these shoes are both amazing. Like, I don't know why they've designed two shoes that are both like 10 out of 10 for me.
I actually wish they only had one, because then you wouldn't have the issue going, am I making the wrong decision choosing this one over that one?
I think you'd be right either way though, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Like, I was a bit like you, Brady, as I said, when I put both of them on and to work out which one I was going to use for a bit of a tempo session, I'm like, well, the Sky for me just felt a little bit more protective, a bit more spongy, which I thought, well, for a longer sustained effort, more like marathon, then maybe this is the one for me. And the Edge just felt a bit snappier. And I thought, well, that may be more suited for the shorter reps. I have heard people talk about, because the Sky has a really soft foam at the heel, maybe bigger athletes might struggle a little bit, especially if they're hitting the heel, they could potentially like feel a bit unstable. Whereas I didn't notice that myself, and maybe because we're fairly light runners, Brady, like although it is soft foam at the heel, maybe we don't compress it as much, and it's not like, I certainly didn't feel like I was unstable. But I was saying off air, the one thing that I love about these Asics super shoes, you could race 5K through to the marathon in either one of them. Whereas I feel like a lot of the other brands, like let's say Nike, for example, if I'm running a marathon, I'm wearing the Alpha Fly, but I'm probably not wearing the Alpha Fly for a 5K. I'd go the Vaporfly. Whereas these shoes, 5K through to the marathon, very versatile.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam, what's your experience? So, like, you're very lucky to be working with someone like Asics, so you got the option there as well. There's also the Ray, like, so we're not reviewing that tonight, but that's also like another option for you elite runners. I know Andy's been in that a bit. I think Matty Buckell's been wearing that as well. It retails for a bit more. I think it's $500, the Ray, and it's just super light. But yeah, what are you finding, and how do you perceive the difference in the two?
Yeah, so when I ran the national record, I wore the Tokyo Edge. I felt like the Edge had a little bit more pop in it. It felt a little bit more, I guess, because of the rigidity in that bottom foam, you actually get a lot more pop out of that shoe. Whereas, and I think it's probably better for up to about 10K. Maybe you could argue you could probably get away with it if you're a fast enough runner. At City to Surf, like that's probably another one. Like, I mean, I know it's not a flat course, but the distance-wise, you'd probably still get a similar benefit, especially when you're going downhill. You'll feel like you're really flying then. Probably not on Heartbreak Hill. But when you run in the Sky, I feel like it's a little bit more forgiving and it's less taxing on the body because of the softer foam on the bottom, especially at the back end of those races. And so for me, I think that's why I was able to back up and do the second half marathon a day later, was because I was able to actually have all that absorption from the shoe that wasn't so taxing that I can then back up and do it again. Like when I'd run the 61:49, they could feel like you run 61:49, but with the shoes, you don't feel like you've run at all. Like you've almost you basically end up the same way. So your recovery, I suppose, after the race is a lot better because you've absorbed, especially at the back end of the race when you're tired and fatigued. It's allowed for that change. It's allowed for that, I guess, absorption of the and the impact you're going to have at the back end of the race, which is good for someone like me because I tend to get, obviously, the longer it goes, and that's for anyone, like the longer it goes, the heavier we feel, and you want something to feel. I feel like you'd want something that's a little bit lighter on so that you're not so cooked at the end of the race.
Yeah, you're right about pulling. Like I pulled up really good this morning after being in the sky yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping not. It's not like a delayed thing. Like hoping Tuesday, Wednesday morning, I'm feeling even better. But yeah, so far so good.
The other thing I like about these racing flats or super shoes are that they feel a bit more traditional. You know, like you think about the Hoka shoes, the Puma shoes, the Alpha Flies. Like they're almost like they're not your traditional geometry of a shoe, whereas these Asics ones feel like a traditional trainer in terms of there's no massive cutouts, but you have that super shoe pop. So I like that. And we were actually talking about on the long run yesterday just how far Asics have come over the last few years. Like I remember for a long time, I always felt like Asics had sort of forgotten about the runner for a while. Like they had their Kayano, they've always had their Kayano, so that sort of, you know, everyone would always go for the Kayano because it was the most expensive one, and it was always supported by the physiotherapists out there and the podiatrists, and they were sort of big into the triathlon market. And I remember the first super shoe that they sent us, Brady. I think it was called the Meta Racer.
Yeah, and it was like, Tokyo as well. It was similar colorway.
Yeah, similar color.
Yeah.
And like this is like 2020, I reckon. And like super shoes have been out for a while, but even then, like their first effort just wasn't there. They then, I reckon, from about 2020, they put so much effort into their training shoes. Where for the last few years, I reckon they've been the world leader in terms of their training shoes. You know, you think about the Super Blast, the Nova Blast, the Glide Ride. Like
that was good.
They were Nimbus. Quality shoes. And then since then, the last couple of years, their super shoes have gone up a level to basically be the best as well. Like you look at, and on top of that, they're out there actually supporting our top athletes. Have a look at most podiums around the country.
Roads. Gold Coast Marathon Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember where I was, exactly the spot in the bush when I was jogging with Andy and he told me he was going to sign with Asics. And I was like, best brand, like across the whole board. Like you could pick 4 pairs of jogging shoes and you're sorted for the week. You got no question about what race shoes you're going to wear. Like you got 2 or 3 great options.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt whatsoever. Yeah, doing great. Like I reckon yesterday at Albert Park, 60% of those guys in the top 100, 60 or 70% had an Asics shoe on. Like remember when the Vaporfly first came out, that slime green, and everyone in the lead pack had those? Yeah. It's not quite that, but it's like 60 or 70%.
This has been the first time. So I've always gone, if I'm running a marathon, it's the Alpha Fly. Whereas these shoes now, and especially when you see how many other people are running good, fast marathons in these, I'm like, this would be the contender. Like this is what I would probably run the marathon in now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For listeners out there, though, I think it is, if you do have like the option to get to a specialty retail store, though, and put both of them on and get onto a treadmill, I think that would be, I don't know how we give advice about go for this one, if this, go for that one, if that. Like, I'd almost put them on blind, test them as well. Don't get told which one's which before you're running them. And I think your experience would be similar to mine, that one of them might be a 9.5 out of 10 and the other one's a 9.3 out of 10. And they're exactly the same price point at retail for $350. So great shoes. Very appreciative of Asics sending them through to us because Croaks and I are going to be running PBs in the back end of 2025. So Sam's going to be breaking Australian records in them for the next couple of years.
Well, yeah, we're set.
We're set. Good brand of work with Sam. Whispers, got a couple here, boys. First one, did you see Liam Adams' footwear yesterday at the Albert Park 10K?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't spray painted. In some fresh Adidas's.
Just run out of black spray paint.
Maybe, because he was an Addy runner back in the day. Run for your life, Addy runner. Yeah. Just put a watch on it. So people got about that DM about 47 times today saying, hey, what about Liam Adams' shoes? Also, someone else pointed out, and this could be nothing in this, but they was telling me that Jack Rayner doesn't have the Nike athlete tag in his Instagram bio. Now, he might have never had it in there, but it's not in there. So I don't know if it was in there and he took it out, but just chuck a bit of a watch on that one as well. So Liam Adams, what's happening with his shoes? Jack Rayner, what's happening in Instagram bio? Could be something there, could be nothing. Also, Athletics Illustrated last week, Croaks, July 23rd. It was announced that they banned a few more people. So there was an Eritrean that got busted, 207 PB. He's had EPO. There was a Kenyan. His name was Kip Korea Conga. He's got a 59-minute half marathon PB. He got busted for testosterone. And then there was a female runner, Michira. She ran 68 minutes for the half marathon at the age of 20. She got busted with higonamine and octarine in her system as well. And those announcements came the day after another 2 Kenyans were suspended, which came the day after the marathon world record holder Ruth Chepnegetics was also suspended. So a big week last week in AIU doping bans being handed down. When's it going to end? Probably never. So that rolls on very well to my Brady on the loose this week. And it's people ripping off my hot takes, Croaks. So like I'm with
hot takes.
My hot takes.
You normally sit on the fence about everything.
I had to have a couple of opinions on Ruth Chepnegetics last week, and then it's come up to like my attention that other people are just repeating stuff that I was saying on the show.
Why? What were they saying?
Oh, well, I didn't actually realise it until Leanne Pompiani started talking about it on the road to Sydney this week. How she said a lot of the things she's heard have been very similar to what she heard me saying on the weekly show. So I just want to put it out there, just have your own opinions. Like developing yourself, don't need to listen to me, rip mine off. Just these people know who they are. Just come up with your own material if that's what's got to happen from now on. That's it. We got a moose on the loose, Croaks?
I don't. No. What
Sam?
About you? What about you, Sam? Anything that's pissed you off?
Come on, Sam. Give us something.
There's a lot of things that piss me off, but look, I don't know. I think there was something that I have noticed over the last probably month or two, but there's a lot of these runner influencers that are getting injured as of recent, and it went back to a couple of episodes that reminded me, Brady, that like you gave the example of like the guy that goes out and like, I think it was like Barry or something. You're like, oh, Barry's like going out and do his first like 50K or something, and basically saying like, you know, that's not really like what you kind of like inspired to do.
Oh, the charity stuff.
The charity stuff. Like, but it's not about it's not about the charity stuff. It's more about the
being sustainable with your running and stuff.
Yeah, like that. And then what I think's happened is a lot of those influencers are getting the FOMO and stuff of missing out, and the FOMO for a lot of these events, and still try to insert themselves. And that's where it's like, you know, or they're still trying to like get into a race that they know that they're not going to be 100% for. They're probably like likely to be 25% good, you know, and then they try to jump into these races and say, oh, you know, but I also wonder whether it's they're gatekeeping their entry for the fact for their followers.
Well, you got to do it for content, though, don't you? Like when you're in that field, creating content is what keeps you relevant.
Yeah, but it pisses you off because you're also holding an entry that you know you're not 100% ready to compete in, and if you do any more damage, you obviously get it. It's just this vicious cycle. But also, it's the whole point of the sport is for you. Like the number one primary thing is for your health, right? And promoting the health and stuff, and then you get the influencers that are talking about their health and they're injured. It's like
we're going to see more and more in that.
You know, it's a tough one. I just think that there's people that just, you know, are doing like obviously the marathon and stuff's all the hype and, you know, all that, and then the running boom and such, that people are going to go and do crazy things, and that's all well and good. But, you know, I think there's got to be a little bit of, you know, I don't know. It just pisses me off to see that, like, one, the gatekeeping entries is they know they're not probably in good enough nick to run it, and two, they're making it so that, you know, it makes it very hard. It's a hard watch when they say, "Oh, I'm going to go and do this," and you know, like, full well that it's not happening.
How it's going to end.
Yeah,
Speaking
like we know as experienced runners how this stuff ends, and it's never good when they're, you know, you're going into, especially in a marathon, whatever problem you've got, even if it's like a slight niggle, how that's going to affect you during the race.
Yeah,
that can blow up 10x.
Yeah. Oh, you got something funny to say, Croaks? You were about to say something good then, I reckon.
Just speaking of entries, what about the guy that I saw during the week who filmed himself rocking up to run Melbourne Half Marathon, didn't have an entry, basically was happy to admit that he didn't have an entry, and he's like, I'll show you what you do. You just rock up, you run, you grab your finisher's medal, and away you go.
Yeah, he was doing it like it was a life hack. Your event sold
no.
out. This is the way to fix it. Just
shit's
line up
that?
with everyone else. Do it.
No.
How
Yeah.
shit's that?
That's-
No one, like that course was crowded enough as it was.
Oh,
Like,
did you watch Jake Barraclough's video?
well, I saw. Did you see the video where the person ran into a
pole.
what do they call?
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
the
the
bollards.
safety, like
Yeah,
bollards,
bollards, yeah.
And he's full on like
Yeah.
like a deck chair. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
So like that's why you don't rock up if you don't have an entry, because these courses can only cater for so many people.
Yeah.
Right. Go watch Jake Barraclough's like video of the last 2K. He's like literally having to like push past people to get past. He's winning the race in like under 30 minutes, which I think was a bit short, but terrible organisation there. But yeah. But did you know, so this is an interesting one, because someone flicked me a message the other day saying, hey, do you know anyone who wants a ticket for Sydney? And I'm like, oh, actually, like I might want that. Like Croaks and I are going to be up there doing some event stuff, and I'm not pacing this year. And I'm like, I may as well jump in, run the race. But you can't, because it's maybe a major, you can't transfer entries. So there's no way to, so I'd have to run under this person's name, which I'm definitely not going to do because I don't think that's smart. And this person.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because
So like people in the situation where they've got tickets, they're maybe a bit injured, they got no one to hand them over to. So it's like, well, they want to be involved in year one. I can kind of see why they might jump in when they're injured to still be a part of it, because their entry is going to go to nobody.
Do you think they should be able to put it into somebody else's name though? Like I sort of do, because imagine if you had like 5,000 people that are injured or whatever and can't use their ticket. It's just like 5,000 people less on the road, which, you know, like if you can have more people out there, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even if the person who it's been,
because they still want the finishes, don't they, to celebrate? Like that'd be a news item, like 45,000 finishes or 25 or whatever they've got this year.
And even if the person who is, you know, receiving that entry, even if they need to pay some sort of transfer fee,
oh yeah, that's what the
whatever,
Gold Coast
like,
do. Gold Coast and Melbourne, I think, have just opened their transfer window. But yeah, so me and you, Croaks, we might be hooking laps of Centennial Park. We might have to see if Sam's mates at Asics have got any hookups for us. Me and you might go run we should go run a 2:45 or something, Croaks, just out the back there.
Yeah,
see if we pick up Moose in the last 5K.
You're the number one voice in Australian distance running, Brady. Surely you'd be able to get an entry.
Yeah, we might have to send some emails this week, especially if people are taking me hot takes. But yeah, it's an interesting, the commodity. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and she's talking about how organised you have to be. I think Ballarat Marathon put out their first tier of entries. And she's like, I don't know if I want to do it, but the first tier is sold out already. And she's like, should I just get an entry? And I'm like, yes, getting an entry now is like holding an asset that, well, not so much for Sydney, but the other races you can transfer them at a later date if you have to. And you've just got to be super organised to get in these races, because they just sell out so quick. The top tier ones do anyway. The bottom ones, not so much.
That's the way of the world now, isn't it? It's like you said, it's becoming an asset, you know, and that's why people want to hold on to them, I suppose, because if they lose it, it's gone, and when are they going to get another opportunity to get in that spot, particularly if you're through the ballot system and all that sort of jazz. Like, I'm very grateful that, you know, I run as fast as I do because, you know, get these free entries, but I understand how big of a task it can be just to sign up as, you know, just a normal regular rec runner trying to get an entry into these races. You know, so it's probably, you know, it's pretty hard. You want that opportunity, and I can understand why people do have that sort of like, oh, I want to keep this entry, or like I want to still run it even if I got like half a leg left. You know,
yes, especially if you're traveling.
Yeah,
like if you've sat in a plane for 20 hours to come over.
Yeah, you don't want to do your money. Some people don't.
Part of an observation of the growth of our sport, road running, marathon running. Listener question, Croaks, bring it home.
Yep. So this episode's listener question is proudly brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration. Sam Clifford relies on their nutrition plan for his upcoming Sydney Marathon. The question is, City to Surf and Sydney Marathon are 3 weeks apart. What are your thoughts on racing both?
Yeah, three. Can I go first? 3 weeks is all right. I think it's City to Surf's a tough race, hilly. I reckon if you're living in Sydney, though, you're used to the hills. So that's going to help your legs being conditioned a bit. I think a 3 week, I think it's nearly not a perfect, but I think it's a good hit out 3 weeks out to smack how far is it? 15K?
14K.
14.4 or 14.6 or something like that.
The only
You got to really respect it though the week after. And if you taper in, it's probably 10 days of one intense thing you're doing and then not much around it.
I think there's still a little bit of a risk. Like if Sydney Marathon is your A goal and you're putting everything into that, I don't think there's a lot to be achieved by doing City to Surf, because I know from my experiences with doing it, it's the one race that made me the most sore that I've ever been. Like, and I was sore for 10 days. It was always that and now across country. But this was also like back in the old days where, like, I'm sure the shoes now probably stop you from being as banged up as you were 15 years ago. Like, I think, you could potentially incorporate it as part of like your marathon long run session. Like you could go and do, because it's a relatively late start. So you could go and do an hour and a bit beforehand and then do it as a solid sort of tempo.
Yeah. I think it depends what they mean by racing both.
Yeah.
Your A goal is 3 weeks later for Sydney and being in the race at City to Surf and full on like tapering in and going as hard as you possibly can and like, leathering yourself. I think that's different than, that. And I was kind of meaning more what you are. Use as your last hit out 3 weeks out, do a warm up, do a cool down, practice a bit of a carb load, practice stand on the the streets with 80,000 other people, public transport's a challenge on the morning, lining up for Portaloos, all those little things that you're going to experience in 3 weeks' time.
Are you doing it, Sam?
Yeah, so I'm doing City to Surf and Sydney.
There we go.
And that's pretty much what you guys were saying for your advice-wise is pretty much similar. Like, you want to still be able to get a nice hard hit out before the race, particularly if, for instance, you've just been doing a lot of training and you need some sort of metric to see where you're at. I know it's a little bit hilly, but at least you get some sort of idea of where you're at. And if you treat it as like just your marathon sort of session or like a long run extension, at least you'll get a fair idea, because the feeling you'll probably get after City to Surf, like the sore legs and all that, obviously it's different with the shoe technology now, but the actual I guess feeling will be still the same. And you're probably at that point too. Sorry, you're probably at that point too where you're starting to peak in mileage as well, and then trying to drop it down. So it might be, like you said, that last sort of effort. It's like, right, then we're going to settle down to get to the race, and
So how are you treating it, Sam? Because like City to Surf is such an iconic event that it's like, it's awesome. It would be awesome to have your name on that trophy, on that honor board. Are you going to treat it the same way that you treated Sydney Harbour 10, where you're doing like 45K a couple of days before, where you're not going to be at your best? Or are you going in City to Surf to race it all out and win it?
I still want to be competitive. That's long and the short of it. If I'm up to the task on the day, I'm up to the task, and if I have to, if I have a bad one, I have a bad one. But I know that the A goal for me personally is Sydney.
So you're not necessarily tapering for City to Surf. Like you're still happy to have it as a 180K week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it, like I said, if it gets me the training effect and if it's exactly what I'm after, which for me as well, if I lose touch with the reality of being in and around my competitors or the people that I'm potentially racing with or against or at Sydney that are probably doubling up and doing City to Surf, I'm not sure if they are, but if they do, at least then you get a gauge of like, okay, this is, where I need to be, in and around it. But obviously if I have a gripper day, I'm not going to, say like, if I'm in front with a K to go, I'm obviously going to try and have a crack at it. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to slow up today, guys. Like, got marathon training and I've got to wait for Sydney. Like,
I just called it tempo on your Strava.
I'll call it maintenance pace. That's a big term now that I throw around a bit.
Okay.
So, just call it 14K scuffing.
14K scuffing is maintenance pace. And
keep scuffing for 5 minute K pace, please.
Yeah.
You make a good point though. Like pacing is often what people get wrong in the marathon. And I think sometimes it's because, and I was having a real good conversation with Stephen Van Reeves, one of my fellow Bendigo bats yesterday about this. Sometimes we put ourselves in these 10-week marathon blocks. We do a whole heap of training but we don't actually understand how fit we are because we haven't raced. So you kind of do have to make a bit of a educated guess on the start line or in your plans to know what pace you go out in the marathon. And you don't usually know if you got it right until about 34K into the race. But if you do have a race hit out, you go, oh, I'm fitter than I thought. I'm not as fit as I thought. Like that might really be the difference between changing your race plan 5 seconds a K, which can really make or break your kind of race from 30K onwards.
Yeah, I agree. I actually had a couple of people do Albert Park 10K as a hit out in the lead up to Sydney because they've banked like a heap of good training. It's like, hey, let's just have a down week now and then we can have another week and a half of training for the marathon after it. But let's just see where you're at because you're a hell of a lot fitter now than when you started the marathon block, which I've been basing all of your paces off.
Yeah, and then you can actually chuck that. I know it's different for the calculators and stuff. Like, it doesn't usually convert that well when you go from 10K to marathon, but at least it gives you a number. And you're like, well, this is what mathematically it says you should be able to run. So many different factors come into it for the marathon, but yeah, it can give you a lot of confidence coming out of that. Good chat, fellas. Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration. Visit precisionhydration.com and use the code IR-SPRING2025 for 15% off your first order. Patreon supporters, you get 20%. I'll re-upload that code as well because there was a few people asking about it last week. Have a look at it in that Patreon show notes. What's coming up, fellas? Got the US trials, Croaks, 31st of July to the 3rd of August.
That'd be good. It's always good, always entertaining, the US trials.
First 3 across the line. But you kind of got to have ranking points and stuff now, though, too, don't you? You actually got to have qualified.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. UK Champs is also happening, and they make them race, don't they? Unless you've won. Like Josh Kerr doesn't have to, but I think he's going to race.
He's going to do, I think, the 5K as like just to be part of the event.
Because he was a world champion. Was that Olympic? What did he win? World champs or Olympic champs?
World
Olympic
indoors,
champs.
I think he did.
What did he beat? What was his big medal though?
It was
silver.
World champs.
Yeah, well, I thought World Indoors he won the 3K, but I don't know how long ago that was. I think it was maybe even 2 years ago, but I don't remember.
Coates is Googling real quick here. He's won a massive global medal. Did he get second at the Olympics? Or did he win the Olympics? Or did he win the World Champs? Because then Jake Whiteman as well.
Yeah, Jake Whiteman won the Oregon World Champs, but Josh Kerr, I think, won the last World Championships in, was it Budapest?
You're telling the story, mate. Sunshine Coast Marathon Festival also happens this week. Ryan Gregson's in the marathon. So a big headline act for them in the marathon up there. Andy Buchanan and Liam Adams in the half marathon. They had a good head-to-head a couple of years ago. I reckon Liam beat Andy a few years ago as well up there. So that's going to be good to watch. Sam, what do you got coming up in your life? You've given us a warning already. Check Strava over the next week. Anything happening there, like exciting work, love life, personal life, other than running?
The little bit of news I got today is my dad reckons he's coming up for City to Surf to come and watch me run. So that's
good.
A good one. He's bloody big supporter of me running, which is fantastic. He finds a way. He loves Sydney as well. Like he loves it more than I do. Like I mean, I love Sydney, but he's just like, you know, the exuberance and passion that he has when any chance he can get up to Sydney is any opportunity I'm running. You know,
has he figured out his spot for race day for the Sydney Marathon? Like you're going to strategically put him at a spot where you might need him, 36K, you're the first Aussie, Brett Robinson's on your shoulder, need a bit from Dad on the side of the road?
It'll be, yeah, Dad's pretty cunning with his spots because I sort of don't know where he is until I see him. So I always don't really know. So I just let Dad what he does, and you know, it's his world. Wherever he ends up being on the race, he'll be there. So, and I'll know it because it's, you know, it'd be only him. He'd find the spot where it's probably I don't know if it's going to be like it this year. I highly doubt it, but where the crowd is a little bit like there's not a lot of crowd. Usually is where he goes. So that could be anywhere on the course, but I reckon probably. Yeah, it's tough. I reckon he'll be probably closer to the turns at probably maybe Centennial Park, like top of Centennial Park, going back towards Oxford Street, potentially.
Mrs. Macquarie's chair was quiet last year. Down, I know. Can you get from there to the finish line though, or do you have to go up and around?
I think
Sydney
still go
better
up
than
and
me.
around because the gardens would be closed, wouldn't they? I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, well, actually, I don't know because that was an interesting one because I think the 10K might have finished up the top there last year and they used that event precinct or the post-event precinct there. So maybe, I don't know. I'll have to double check with it. I haven't really looked at a whole lot of other stuff from Sydney in terms of post-event and pre-event stuff. When it gets close to the time, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I reckon that'll be somewhere around the, high 20s, early 30K mark.
He can
and then at
suss
least
out.
get them come down Kensington Way and then back.
Yeah, he can suss out spots this weekend anyway, or this week when he's up there.
Yeah, very true.
See a surf weekend.
Yeah.
You can do that.
It's picking up.
Croaks, what are you doing between now and next week?
A bit of teaching, bit of running, try and get you an entry for Sydney Marathon.
Get yourself one as well. Get two for us.
Yeah. And Josh Kerr is the current world champ. That's why he doesn't have to race their trials.
Okay.
Basically, so if you're world champ, you get a free entry to the next world champs.
Did he win the gold at 2021 Olympics?
No, world champs.
No, world champs in 23. So
I know, but did he win something before that?
He was third.
Luke Matthews interviewed him. Was it third bronze medal? Was it
bronze in Tokyo, and then
silver in Paris. He won the last World Championships. He's won a World Indoor 3000.
Yeah, I've told you, he's won a few medals. I was right again.
Big green tick
Good Croaks.
Trying to call him Olympic champ.
More green ticks for you, Brady.
Yeah,
not only on the training front, but the getting the medals right front.
Yeah, I'll get a few green ticks this week. My training's stepping up this week. Expect a few green ticks next week, Croaks.
Can't wait.
All right, we'll be back with another co-host next week. Sam, a massive thanks for giving up a couple of hours on your Monday night. It's 9:08 p.m. You're an elite athlete. You've come off 45K last Friday, a massive win yesterday on the streets of Sydney. So we're cutting into your sleep time. But I know our listeners would have enjoyed hearing 2 hours of you tonight.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Brady. Thanks, Croaks, for having me on. And, thank you, listeners, for listening again.
Good luck for the next few weeks, mate.
Mate, if Croaks and I aren't somehow like 30 minutes behind you doing our long run at Sydney, we'll be on the side of the road cheering for you.
I'll tell you what, I might try and yell something out too. We'll see. But you'll just well, it's a bit of a secret. We'll go a bit of a secret one.
Catch you, boys.
Yeah.
See.
All right. Want to make your next race day the best one yet? Well, dialing in your nutrition strategy is one of the most effective ways you can do that. Luckily, our show sponsor, Precision Fuel and Hydration, offers you the chance to do this in the most effective way possible. Book a free consultation with their team to fine-tune your fueling plans. Emphasis here on you, as they offer tailored advice based on your circumstances and the race you're taking on. They're there to help you achieve your goals all year long, and as mentioned, this service is free of charge and a great opportunity to ask them any questions you may have about fueling and hydrating for your race. No question is too daft for them. We've loved Precision for a long while, and this free service is another reason why. Use the link in the show notes and use code IR-SPRING2025 for 15% off your first order and start smashing those goals today.